Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. The headlines. The LUSAKA Magistrate Court worry over CHILUFYA TAYALI'S court absenteeism. The judiciary to introduce Economic Financial Crimes Court subordinate level. Government honors volunteers with a national volunteer policy. And in international news, Sierra Leone gas shortages forces taxi drivers to turn to black market. And in sports, NAOMI MWALE wins bronze at the Africa Amateur Individual Chess Championship. Details coming through after this commercial.
In our quest to serve nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
A falcon, known for flying high speeds, unmistakably grace and flying incredible long distances. Falcon Express is equal to the task with your deliveries. Friendly and reliable, a company that cares for you, local and international coverage, company that empowers its customers on time, every time, all the time. Nationwide delivery.
Send your parcel through Falcon Express to Mongu, Kabwe, Ndola, Kapiri, Kitwe, Chingola, Chipata, Livingstone, Mazaboka, Kasama, Solwezi, Kalumbila, Chililabombwe, Luansha, Kalulushi. Get in touch with us on +260 971 130 766 and drop your parcels at Falcon Express. Falcon Express. Your parcels are safe with us.
And now the main news in detail. 2 college students have survived a road traffic accident that occurred along the Inner University of Zambia Road in the afternoon of Monday, 5th December 2022. Eyewitnesses have told Camnet News that the accident occurred when the male driver of the Toyota Ranex, who was in the company of a female friend, failed to negotiate a corner due to excess speed and went to hit in a residential wall fence. The 2 victims have alleged to have been rushing to write examinations at a named university when the accident occurred. The driver, whose name has not yet been identified, sustained some injuries while the female passenger escaped with minor injuries. The 2 have since been rushed to a hospital for further examinations. Some members of Parliament have called on cooperating partners to ensure that they complement government's effort in monitoring how the Constituency Development Fund CDF resources are being utilized by beneficiaries. Material Member of Parliament, Mao Sampa, says his constituency has recorded an incident in such a cooperative which benefited from the grants shared the resources instead of investing it in the proposed project. Meanwhile, Second Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Moyo, says the National Assembly recognizes that youths who form majority of the population are key assets, and as such, they should not only be seen as mere targets of development efforts, but also critical partners in shaping the developmental agenda.
The increase in the Constituency Development Fund CDF has come with its own challenges, such as lack of information on how to access the funds to lengthy procedures in accessing the financing. Some stakeholders, such as Alliance for Accountability Advocates Zambia, have been complimenting government's effort in ensuring that citizens have enough information on how to access the funds by translating the messages in different local languages to launching a platform for community engagement. The Alliance, with the support of GIZ, is also undertaking a project that seeks to adopt a selected number of wards across the 4 provinces to provide training to the youths in the selected wards in order to foster good governance at community level. To that effect, parliamentarians drawn from the selected constituencies convened in Lusaka to learn more on the project. Matero, Member of Parliament Mao Sampa, raised concerns on how the resources are being managed by the beneficiaries and asked the Alliance to go an extra mile and monitor how the process is being done.
I have a case in Matero that has been reported, and I need to follow up. Of the 102 cooperatives we gave 20,000 each 2 months ago, all of them were only approved because they told us to do this business. Now I'm told there's one cooperative, as soon as the money hit their account, they withdrew all of it and shared one pin. So as you do accountability, go all the way to the end users to remind them that this is public funds. If it's given to you as a grant and you say it's for chicken, use it for chicken.
The stages involved in getting the resources that are provided for in CDF, I think we need to agree that there must be a certain stage which is very problematic. We deal with that problematic stage. I think that next year we'll be discussing a very different conversation.
Meanwhile, AAZ Executive Director Luchembe Chilufya says his organization has spoken to the need of having more youths participate in accessing CDF.
A country with such a youthful population should invest more in the youth to ensure that they have the capacity to contribute to national development, of course, positively, and ensure that this country is able to develop. It is unacceptable that such a population is mainly represented by a minority in structures of decision-making.
Meanwhile, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Gary Nkombo has acknowledged the need for communities' inclusive access to CDF.
Dear colleagues, government acknowledges the need for the community's inclusive access to the Constituency Development Fund. Further, we are very cognizant of the fact that provision of adequate information to the citizens on the benefits of the fund and how to access that fund as a very key component to our well-being.
And second, Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Moyo, says youths are a key asset and should be seen as critical partners in shaping developmental agenda.
In addition, an online learning platform has been developed where end users will be provided with a step-by-step guide on how to fill in constituency development forms and how to develop viable business plans. This online platform will be made available to the public using the technology developed by our very own in Ngoma.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A clergywoman of Kafue district has complained over what she terms as unfair treatment by a named police officer in Kawe over the land issue. This is in a matter in which Reverend Sylvia Nawa has had a farmland sold to another individual by the same person who sold it to her. Speaking during a press briefing in Lusaka Tuesday, Reverend Nawa is disappointed that the police were siding with the current occupant of the land by allegedly threatening her and unlawfully detaining her before persuading her to sign an agreement letter indicating that she was no longer the owner of the farm, which she did. The named police officer later compelled the current occupant of the land to pay her about 3,000 kwacha, and of the sum total amount, the same police officer allegedly pocketed 1,000 kwacha. She has since called on Inspector General of Police leadership to institute investigations on the Kabwe Fraud Department for suspected corrupt practices and unfair treatment of suspects. Reverend Nawa indicated that she will be reporting the matter to the Police Public Complaints Commission and the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Needless to say, I was unlawfully detained. They did not arrest me and charge me before they detained me. They just detained me. They made sure that they were not available for people to sign bond for me. They were out of the office. That was 14 hours. I felt unfairly treated, but I accepted the fate. I said, okay, let's see how far this is going to go. Now, coming back to our issue, when they called me on that Friday, the people who are sitting on my land and the one who sold me the land were not even there. The first meeting, they were there. I was the only one who was interrogated. Them, no. So what they did was, when they constituted that kangaroo court in that office, they were the prosecutors, they were the juries, they were the judges, and in the end, they even became the land agents for the man who was sitting on the farm. Because they collected money. I asked them, I said, all this process that I have done, the money that I have paid for this farm, I'm walking away hands-free. That's when they said, do you have any proof to show us that you paid anything? In my bag, I had a few receipts. They put them together. Then he goes, tells the man, bring money so that you pay her. She goes. This will be the end of the matter. Meanwhile, what does he do? When he is coming to give me that money, now he's the agent of the man who's sitting on the land. A police officer in frauds department. He gives me part of the money, and the other part he puts in his pocket without any shame. Honorable IG, Mr. Kajoba, you can hear me, you can see me, and this I'm bringing to your attention today, that you need to deal with this matter. You need to deal with this matter.
Minister of Community Development and Social Services, Doreen Mwamba, says volunteers play an important role in helping government and other stakeholders achieve developmental goals. Speaking during the launch of a national volunteer policy and commemoration of International Volunteers Day, Ms. Mwamba says volunteers have helps government in many areas such as health, climate change and education. She says this year's theme, which is Solidarity Through Volunteering, resonates well with government's goal of not leaving anyone behind in order to achieve sustainable development. Meanwhile, United Nations representative says the launch of a volunteer policy will help in shaping the work of volunteers, pledging to continue supporting government programs in different sectors.
Volunteering is an act of an individual or group freely giving time and labor for community service. Volunteers are usually trained in specific sectors they operate in. In Zambia, like many other countries, developmental aspirations are far-fetched without volunteers, who are usually the first respondents to situations. The health and education sector are among the sectors with the most volunteers in Zambia. 5th December each year is set aside to appreciate the role they play in shaping sustainable development. Speaking during the launch of the National Voluntary Policy by the Ministry of Community Development, the Zambia Volunteer Organization Committee representative Nicholas Panda says the policy is something that has come at the right time.
One of the challenges that the volunteers were faced in Zambia was the lack of volunteer policy, but now with the development of the National Volunteer Policy in place, it will be easy for volunteers to work effectively. A national volunteer policy will help to guide the activities of volunteers in Zambia. So for us as a coordinating committee, we actually, we are happy that this long journey is finally coming to an end, because it will help also to harmonize the way volunteers work in Zambia. I think most of us who have been working with volunteers I think the main challenge has been that there hasn't been, a harmonized structure in terms of, for instance, how do you motivate the volunteers? We had various organizations giving different incentives.
And United Nations Resident Coordinator says volunteers play an important role, especially during pandemics. She says the theme for this year, which is Solidarity Through Volunteering, aptly embraces the UN's family commitment to volunteer in Zambia and beyond.
United Nations Volunteers UNV program, we recognize an estimated 1 billion volunteers who offer their skills, time and enthusiasm to communities across the world to contribute to changing the world. In the health sector, we see that volunteers are often the first line of defense against disease outbreaks. Allow me to cite the March 2020, when Zambia recorded the first COVID-19 cases. Deserving special mention are the courageous 833 community youth volunteers who were recruited by the government and the UN system to provide preventive COVID-19 education and information, and specifically drive the risk communication and community engagement campaigns.
And Minister of Community Development, Doreen Mwamba, says the National Volunteer Policy launched today will help guide activities of volunteers in Zambia, adding that government places importance on anyone who embraces developmental programs.
The government of the Republic of Zambia recognizes and appreciates the contributions that volunteers make at different levels in our society. Governments and the United Nations systems have both benefited through integrating volunteerism in the national and global development agenda worldwide. There are over 1 billion volunteers who contribute to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. My government is committed to ensuring that volunteerism is given special recognition, given its significant role in attaining sustainable development goals.
Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka.
In other news, Chief Justice Mumba Malila says it is no longer business as usual for the judiciary in the wake of increased economic and financial crimes. Justice Malila notes that the virtual crimes have increased as criminals are taking advantage of the advancement in digital technology in the financial sector. Speaking when he officiated the Cyber Economic and Financial Crime Training for judges and magistrates in Lusaka Monday, the Chief Justice stresses that combating financial crimes requires technical capacity on the prosecution and adjudication aspects. He says the training facilitated by the Attorney General Alliance is timely as it comes at a time when the judiciary is upscaling the operations of the Economic and Financial Crimes Court. And speaking earlier, Western Attorney General Alliance representative for Zambia, Dr. Freda Mwamba, states that the economic and financial crimes have devastating effects to the economy and development in the country. Hence, the judiciary has a huge role to play towards combating the vice.
The advancement of digital technology in the financial sector world over, much as it has come with social and economic benefits, it has also come with challenges as criminals have opted to utilize the virtual space to commit economic and financial crimes. Zambia is not spared from financial and economic crimes perpetrated through illicit financial flows such as tax evasion and other computer-related pilferage of resources. It is against this background that Zambia introduced the Economic and Financial Crimes Court. Chief Justice Mumba Malila says it can no longer be business as usual for the judiciary in the wake of the high rate of economic and financial crimes. Speaking when he officiated at the Cyber and Economic Financial Crimes Training for judges and magistrates in LUSAKA Monday, the Chief Justice notes that capacity building among adjudicators is vital towards combating financial crimes.
In order to enhance the government's efforts to combat illicit activities and ill-gotten wealth which have negatively impacted the country's economic growth, the judiciary, as an arm of government responsible for legal interpretation and enforcement, has to up its game. It is not business as usual. For this reason, in early January this year, as we have heard, one of the first things that I did barely a month after taking office was to establish the Economic and Financial Crimes Division of the High Court, pursuant to Article 133.3 of the Constitution of Zambia and the High Court Act, Chapter 27 of the Laws of Zambia.
He says the Economic and Financial Crimes Court is being introduced at the subordinate courts and that rules are being formulated to ensure efficient and speedy delivery of justice.
As some participants may be aware, we are in the process of putting up rules of court to specifically deal with economic and financial crimes and how to fast-track adjudication of these crimes. We are currently relying on the general procedural rules applicable in the subordinate court and in the High Court. And these rules are, however, not always adequate for specialized adjudication, and we look forward to the best practices that can be adopted in the rules that we are crafting for enhanced efficient adjudication of this species of crime.
And speaking area, Western Attorney General Alliance representative for Zambia, Dr. Frida Mwamba, states that economic and financial crimes have devastating effects to the economy and development, hence the need to combat the vice.
We have also seen the internet being increasingly used to commit crimes, as through the use of technological tools like cryptocurrencies, perpetrators are able to carry out their crimes with minimal risks of detection, facilitating crimes like money laundering. These crimes thus challenge our ability to grow our economy, maintain public trust, and preserve the rule of law, thereby making the training of utmost importance.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Tourism Minister Rodney Sikumba says there is no need to politicize the death of former Kabwe Member of Parliament Tutwa Ngulube. Mr. Sikumba says Mr. Ngulube was a noble man who dedicated his life serving the people of Zambia at a professional and political level. Mr. Sikumba says his friendship with Mr. Ngulube dates back to the 1990s, where they schooled together, and that despite sharing different political ideologies, they remained good friends and shared many happy times together. He says Mr. Ngulube will be greatly missed, and he wishes his family God's comfort in this trying moment.
It's very unfortunate that a colleague of ours has passed on. Mr. Honorable Tutwa Ngulube and I come a long way. It may so happen that him and I graduated the same day. We were at university together. We used to call him Aristotle, and we changed it from Aristotle to Aristutwa because of his fearless aspects of how he took life and so forth. And in as much as we met on the political front on different sides of the coin, that didn't make us any enemies at all. What we're trying to achieve is purely seeing how the betterment of our citizens would be achieved. Yes, we differ on ideologies, but quite frankly, he's a jovial lad, somebody who I spent 4 years with here at the University of Zambia. We know each other very well, and his untimely death is actually shocking, and we're just hoping that his family, the wife, the children are given strength during this trying time. It's not very easy to actually lose a parent. It's not easy to lose a loved one, and we're just hoping that this particular death itself, we take off our political lenses for now, to just make sure that we mourn our colleague peacefully and making sure that the family transitions, obviously having lost their loved one.
A mental health advocate, Patrick Chama, has appealed to the government through the Ministry of Education to consider making mental health a compulsory subject in schools. In an interview with Camnet TV, Mr. Chama notes that a majority of pupils, especially those that don't perform well in school, struggles with different mental issues, hence the need to have such a subject that will increase awareness regarding one's own mental state and what maintenance strategies work best for them. He has observed that most pupils do not apply in their daily lives most of the science theories that they are taught or understand, yet mathematics and science subjects remain required classes for pupils while mental health education does not. He says schools need to be benchmarking mental health as equal important, thus the need for the government, while it's revising the school curriculum, to consider making it a mandatory part of the curriculum across all schools.
Introducing the mental health is of great importance, especially at a secondary level, because you would find that most of the teenagers, they are predisposed to these mental related issues. For instance, I'll give an example. They get 9 lights and fails. What do they resorting to? Committing suicide. So it's important that we introduce this mental health as a subject at a secondary level. Let's take it back to the primary level. Because even there, we find that most teenagers, even at grade 7 level, when they fail, what happens? They resort to committing suicide. So it is very important, because by then you will be raising awareness of the mental health. Such will find that you will prevent individuals or will preserve life. I think that how do that? By ensuring that people are they are knowledgeable enough about the mental health related issues. Such we are going to develop as a nation. Because if we lose our brother and sister out there tomorrow, we are reducing in population. And you know, when you're reducing in population, what really happens? We are not going to develop as a country. We are losing a doctor, we are losing a teacher there. So let's introduce the mental health, please. Let's introduce mental health as a subject at primary and secondary level.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more news after this.
You know, I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, my dear. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Good news, the rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generation Wealth is the way to go. Has grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each. and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
Thank you for staying with us. We continue with the rest of the main news. A 35-year-old pharmacist of Lusaka has pleaded not guilty before the Lusaka Magistrate Court to 10 counts of theft by servant and money laundering involving over 900,000 kwacha. Allegations before the court are that MWALE, while being employed as executive director at Chirundu Pharmacy Limited, stole over 900,000 kwacha on different dates and months in 2020. He is expected to appear on the 11th of January 2023 for his commencement of trial.
Just recently, the Anti-Corruption Commission arrested a 43-year-old pharmacist, Kenneth Chisamanga, on accusation that he prescribed 16,000 kwacha bribes from students so that he could help them pass continuous assessment tests. Now, 5 days after this incident was brought to light, a 35-year-old man in the same profession has been dragged to court on charges of theft by servant involving over 900,000 kwacha. MWALE of Lusaka's Avondale has pleaded not guilty before the Lusaka's Magistrate Court Monday. The accused, a pharmacist, is alleged to have committed the offense on various dates in 2020 while being employed as Executive Director for Chirundu Pharmacy Limited. In the first count, the accused is said to have, on the 20th of February 2020, stolen 7,974 kwacha. In the second count, on the 4th of May 2020, he stole 15,454 from his employer, while in the third count, on the 8th of May 2020, he stole 20,541 cash. In the fourth count, the accused is said to have stolen 6,240 kwacha on the 19th of May 2020, while in the fifth count he is alleged to have stolen 51,943 on the 17th of July, while in the last count he is alleged to have stolen $562, the property of Chirundu Pharmacy Limited. He has denied all these allegations before Lusaka Magistrate Ida Piri. The accused is expected to commence his trial on the 11th of January 2023. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court has expressed concern over the failure by a defense counsel in conduct of Economic and Equity Party leader CHILUFYA TAYALI'S case to register his absenteeism. Magistrate Ida Piri wondered why counsel failed to inform court in the last session of his absence and file a notice to show that he will be attending to another case in the High Court. Mr. Tayali is accused of assaulting a police officer at Chilenje police station by throwing a kettle on the officer.
The criminal case in which Economic and Equity Party leader CHILUFYA Tayali is accused of assaulting a female police officer during his recent arrest received an early adjournment due to the absence of his defense counsel. Mr. Tayali, who pleaded not guilty to assaulting a female police officer, Melod Malama, from Chilenje police station, on the 5th of October 2022, was expected to commence his trial this morning, the 5th of December 2022. When the matter came up this morning, Lusaka Magistrate Ida Piri was informed that Mr. TAYALI'S lawyer, who is in charge of the case, was attending to another case before the High Court, a situation that left Magistrate Piri to wonder why his lawyer failed to file anything in the previous court session to excuse himself and alert the court that he was going to be represented this morning by another counsel. The state objected to the application to adjourn the case as it was ready to proceed with one witness. However, Magistrate Piri allowed the adjournment and has set the 9th of January 2023 for trial. According to a statement earlier issued by the police, Mr. TAYALI allegedly assaulted a female police officer, Melod Malama, who operates at Chilenje police station in Lusaka, where he was detained after being nabbed upon his arrival from South Africa. It is alleged that when his wife took him food, she was requested by the said female constable Malama to test the food as per procedure when someone takes food to a suspect in custody. However, the accused is said to have gotten annoyed that the officer would suspect his wife of poisoning him and threw the food on the floor. It is further alleged that at that point, Mr. TAYALI got a keto and hit the said complainant on the face. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
"33 traditional rulers in the Eastern Province have welcomed the updating of the 1958 chiefdom boundaries map made before Zambia became a sovereign state. The chiefs have also observed that the move by the government to seek consensus over the 1958 Chiefdom Boundaries Act is a sign of bringing reconciliation to the country for the purpose of development.
The proliferation of chiefdom land boundary disputes has remained a matter of great concern, but government is determined to change this scenario. Local Government and Rural Development Permanent Secretary for Technical Services, Nicholas Piri, has met Eastern Province chiefs in Chipata to discuss the 1958 chiefdom boundary maps.
There are some concerns that we have received through different stakeholders, including yourselves. Some of the chiefdoms have been omitted despite being physically there on the ground. Some of the writings have been misrepresented. Some of the chiefdoms that were abolished in the old days are also appearing. We are aware about those challenges, but those challenges do not invalidate the map. They actually give us an opportunity, and there will be an opportunity for us to engage and take corrective and collective measures together as stakeholders.
During this engagement, some traditional rulers shared their concerns.
Mapu haya yenze kunako likumu ya 1958 muone kuchokera 1958 kuzofika inondawi papita zaka 64 mwina pakati hapa tanyi njuku 1958 tenzekoli pakine chusokoneza kwene nikusaberenga my comprehension levels tuzali ni bwino geography utilitiadi olopano so tuzoti scale drawing amo pa scale tuzali ni bwino surveyor jeno bana nchitonga kukula kuti baike pachinji beacons makamaka
mapa ya 1958 koma marangozi makhala waliko up to date. Titingabwerere uku tisanamizane boza kuti mwina ma problems awakatha haya. The best way numanenera senior chief nzamani kuti mwina through imwa boma ise mtuuze to identify my problems vathu valikuja.
In wrapping up the meeting, Chieftainess Msoro of the Kunda people of Mambwe district spoke on behalf of others.
But we would like to believe that it will not be a process that will generate misunderstanding, conflict,
and confusion. So we are very mindful that this process should be done very well, and at the end of it all, we should see something that will come out of it that will really harness our development potential as a province and as a nation at large.
Sylvester Chimba for Zanis in Chipata District, Eastern Province.
International and sports news coming through after this commercial.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
A falcon, known for flying high speeds, unmistakably grace and flying incredible long distances. Falcon Express is equal to the task with your deliveries. Friendly and reliable, a company that cares for you, local and international coverage, company that empowers its customers on time, every time, all the time. Nationwide delivery.
Send your parcel through Falcon Express to Mongu, Kabwe, Ndola, Kapiri, Kitwe, Chingola, Chipata, Livingstone, Mazabuka, Kasama, Solwezi, Kalumbila, Chililabombwe, Luansha, Kalulushi. Get in touch with us on +260 971 130 766 and drop your parcels at Falcon Express. Falcon Express. Your parcels are safe with us.
Let's take a look at what we have in our international item. Long queues are still being experienced at major petrol stations in Sierra Leone as the West African country grapples with high gas prices and scarcity. The gas prices have nearly doubled compared to the previous year to $1.14. Here is more in international news.
Long queues are still being experienced at major petrol stations in Sierra Leone as the West African country still grapples with high gas prices and scarcity. The gas have nearly doubled compared to previous year to $1.14. If I come at the gas station and there is no gas, I will go to the black market, the Jebu, where people sell it in bottles. They sell it in the black market for nearly $2 for 1 liter. When we came, we were expecting to buy gas at $2. If I want to buy 5 liters, it will cost me close to $10. I will ride with this for the rest of the day, so I have to maintain the bike. I have to pay my boss close to $8. And if I buy fuel at $10, I have to eat and I have to maintain the bike, change the oil. So I have to do all those things. So if you have this fuel crisis, it affects us. And now we cannot buy directly from the gas station. We buy at the black market for $2 per liter. Despite being illegal, gas from the black market costs 50% more than at the petrol stations, an increase that motorists like these taxi drivers have to direct to their customers. The price of gas is high, so I have to increase the price for the passengers, and the passengers have to pay me high price because I paid a very high price for my gas. In August, the protest against economic hardship in Freetown, Sierra Leone descended into clashes between security forces and youths, demanding the president resign amid the struggling economy.
People in Burkina Faso have supported a government ban on Radio France International, which has been accused of broadcasting propaganda supporting terrorists. On Saturday, RFI broadcast a recording made by the leader of an Al-Qaeda-affiliated group in which he threatens to attack villages guarded by vigilantes. Once the press, whether it's the international or national press, manages to divulge false information, it is interference in the country's affairs. The first Burkinabe news to have this information itself, it was RFI itself that had this information first, before the Burkinabe media. A foreign media cannot come and have information about your country, and then there are media that are not even aware of it. A Burkinabe government spokesperson said the broadcast aided the armed group's objective of sowing fear and terror. I think it is not right to suspend. I think it is not good to suspend. But I also think it is not good in relation to their actions. Since the fight against terrorism is something, it is first of all a national fight. And in a context where the population and the terrorists seem to be confused, it is really necessary to be careful with information. RFI has protested the ban, calling Burkina Faso's accusations unfounded.
Sudan's main pro-democracy group and the ruling generals signed Monday a framework deal to end a deep political crisis. It pledges to establish a civilian-led transitional government to guide the country to elections. Signatories will decide upon a new prime minister to oversee a two-year transition, and the period will begin after a premier is appointed. The agreement, the first of at least two planned accords, was signed by ruling generals Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, and the leaders from Forces for the Declaration of Freedom and Change at the Khartoum Republican Palace. It comes in the wake of Sudan's stalled transition to democracy following the October 2021 coup. Several of Sudan's key dissenting political forces have, however, boycotted the deal, including the nation's grassroots pro-democracy network known as the Resistance Committee, which has called for demonstrations.
Let's now get into sports news. Chess Federation of Zambia President Leslie Chukose holds the Zambia team for putting up a good performance at the Africa Amateur Individual Chess Championship hosted in Kenya. Mr. Chukose has congratulated Naomi MWALE for winning bronze at the Continental Amateur Individual Chess Finals. He tells Camnet Sports that the Federation would have been happier if the team had secured a gold medal, which would have ensured that the country qualifies for the World Amateur Championship slated for Spain. And Mr. Chukose has since commended the Kenya Chess Federation for successfully hosting the event.
We would just like to state that as Chess Federation of Zambia, we did send a team of 6 players to Kenya to participate in the Africa Amateur Chess Championship. Overall, I think as a team, the performance was great. We saw that even the youngest ones, the improving players, performed very well. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Naomi MWALE of Green Eagles for performing very well and getting our country a bronze medal. We would also like to congratulate Lemi Chishala of Nkwazi Chess Club for also getting a bronze medal. Of course, the expectation of the Chess Federation of Zambia was that we get the gold medals, but I think that overall the 2 medals have made us in the 2023 in style.
In another sports item, the Zambia women under-17 team has thrashed Comoros 10 goals to 0 at the ongoing 2022 COSAFA Under-17 Championship in Lilongwe, Malawi as part of the African Union Region 5 Youth Games. Zanis Sports, which monitored the Football Association of Zambia Facebook page, reports that the Copper Princesses ran riot at the Bingu National Stadium in Lilongwe as they booked a spot in the semi-finals of the COSAFA Under-17 Championship. Captain Luwasi Pumulo gave the Copper Princesses the lead in the 3rd minute before Blessings Zulu doubled the lead from a Message Pasula assist. Esther Masialele headed a Message Pasula cross to give Zambia a 3-0 lead in the 26th minute. Pumulo led a perfect pass from a set piece to Jesse Zulu, who unleashed a thunderbolt past Comoros goalie Raham Brahim to put Zambia 4-0 up in the 33rd minute. Comoros were reduced to 10 after captain Nacha Morimodo was shown red for hacking Blessings Zulu in the 44th minute as the match ended 4-0 at halftime. Well, that sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. The LUSAKA Magistrate Court worry over CHILUFYA TAYALI'S court absenteeism. The judiciary to introduce economic financial crimes court subordinate level. Government honors volunteer with the National Volunteer Policy. And in international news, Sierra Leone gas shortage forces taxi drivers to turn to black market. And in sports, NAOMI MWALE wins bronze at the Africa Amateur Individual Chess Championship. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of John 10, verse 7, 9 to 10, and it reads, Jesus said, I tell you the truth. I am the gate for the sheep. Whoever enters through me will be saved. He will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.